Assessing the threat the Reaper botnet poses to the internet, what we know now. 8 days have passed since researchers first warned of a new, potentially internet-paralyzing botnet made up of cameras, routers, and other so-called Internet of Things devices. There are good reasons for concern that Reaper, as the botnet has been dubbed, could pose as big a threat as Mirai, the mass infection that last year caused chaos with record-setting distributed denial-of-service attacks. The more nuanced reality is that Reaper exhibits some unusual behavior that makes it impossible to assess the real danger the botnet presents. Some facts that have come to light over the past few days strongly suggest its developers are amateurs and don't pose the existential internet threat it initially thought, particularly when comparing Reaper to another established IoT botnet that has gone largely ignored for more than a year. Then again, Reaper exhibits other attributes that give it an advantage over other botnets. Chief among them is an infection mechanism unlike any seen before in an IoT botnet. Another advantage is that Reaper's development platform is flexible enough to wage a suite of attacks that go well beyond mere doses. With a few improvements and a few lucky breaks, Reaper could prove to be a real menace. The most important fact to emerge is Reaper's true size. Researchers from security firm Check Point, who were the first to publicly report the botnet, stunned their peers when they said it had infected an estimated 1 million organizations. That would dwarf just about every botnet, IoT or otherwise, seen to date, including Mirai, which was estimated to have infected anywhere from 145,000 to 230,000 devices. In an email, a Check Point spokesman said company researchers know of 30,000 infected devices and arrived at the 1 million plus figure by extrapolating from datasets. In fact, other researchers have said Reaper's size is significantly smaller. They said it has consistently fluctuated between 10,000 and 20,000 devices, and there's no evidence it has anywhere near 1 million infected devices under its control. China-based NetLab 360, which reported on Reaper a day after Check Point did, is one of at least 4 security companies that puts the infection estimate in the 10,000 to 20,000 range. Last week, NetLab 360 researchers accessed one of the botnet's command and control servers and found the average number of devices it had actually exploited and taken control of over the previous 7 days was just over 20,000. The number of daily active devices and the number of simultaneous online bots controlled by the server were even smaller, at around 10,000 for October 19 and around 4,000 for the same date respectively. In an update posted Wednesday, NetLab 360 said the number of infected bots controlled by the server grew slightly to 28,000. Those figures are consistent with a blog post Arbor Networks published Thursday. Researchers from both Radware and Ixia both told ours they agree. But NetLab 360 went on to report something else that suggests Reaper just might have the ability to quickly mushroom into a botnet of almost unimaginable size. The same Reaper control server had a queue of 2 million IoT devices that appeared to be vulnerable to the botnet's advanced exploit mechanism, but had not yet been compromised. The control server is made up of, among other things, a reporting mechanism, which tallies the results of internet-wide scans for potentially vulnerable devices, and a loader, which injects specific exploit code into the scanned devices based on the specific vulnerability they were found to contain. Noting the disparity between the 2 million devices in the queue and the 28,000 infected bots, a NetLab 360 researcher wrote in Wednesday's update, "Note that there is a significant difference between the two numbers. The real reason is yet to be determined. But if we have to take a guess, it might be that IoT Reaper has some problem identifying potential vulnerable devices, so most devices in its queue are not really vulnerable. Or it may be because the attacker's loader lacks the needed capacity, and all the tasks get backlogged, or maybe the attacker deliberately slowed down the infection rate to reduce the risk of exposure." Pascal Genins, a researcher at security firm Radware, told ours that estimating Reaper's size is difficult for a host of reasons. For one, The bots seen were on just one server, and it's possible there are others. Another is that, as was the case with Mirai and most other IATS botnets, Reaper infections don't survive a reboot, meaning the number changes all the time. In any event, a honeypot of laboratory devices Radware uses to monitor Reaper has logged only 4,000 unique IP addresses. The honeypot sees from 200 to 500 infection attempts each day, and on average it takes about 30 to 90 minutes for a successful infection. By contrast, a honeypot Radware used in August to monitor Mirai and a different, much more advanced